Hey friends, welcome back to Non-Toxic Home. We're continuing in our study. Blessed are the barren and the wombs that never bear. And this, of course, addresses prophecy as well. Right now we're in Isaiah chapter 24. I have to wear this, otherwise bugs are going to attack me. And FYI, I do have a bit of a migraine. I'm literally sitting outside doing this because the ground, I'm hoping, is going to help me via grounding or earthing, however, whatever you want to refer to it, because I am made from the dust, so it is going to be connected to me in some way, shape, or form, hoping that it helps. At least it isn't getting worse, which in a way is helping because it's not getting worse. And I've tried pretty much everything under the sun, so it is what it is. Hi, chicken. Hi, Red. The chickens are out as well as Kitty, so could be some shenanigans. Animal-related shenanigans in this study. So we were just looking at verse 17. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon the inhabitant of the earth, and talking about how fear is a judgment of the living God. And have we seen fear? Yes. What does the mainstream media and most alternative media foment? Either fear or anger. Those are, the wrath of man, the anger of man, worketh not the righteousness of God. So our anger is not God's anger. Our anger is not godly anger. And fear is the mind killer. Both of them are mind killers. So, of course, both alternative and mainstream media are going to encourage both emotions. And of course, the pit and the snare, there are plenty of pits and snares. COVID was pit and snare, snake bite, pharmakia in general, cosmology definitely as well, because there's definitely going to be a coming fake alien invasion. The fake rapture, anticipate that. Hi, Red, another Red. And chicken right over there, right here. And then you've got the internet, the World Wide Web. God says, I'm spreading my net in Scripture. Internet of bodies, internet of things. Anything people can do to not think anymore, such as turn sprinkler on or turn sprinkler off because it's raining, or don't run sprinkler because it's wet. Anything people can do so that they don't have to think. Just exercise just the tiniest bit of thought or effort. People are it's just amazing. These are snares. So verse 18, it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear, and noise here, it does mean noise. He who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit. He that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. This makes it very clear there's nowhere you can run to escape the judgment of the living God. So, people are saying, well, we need to go to Africa, or we need to go, I don't know, Canary Islands, or rural Colorado, or northern Alaska, or wherever. And yeah, in rural areas, you've got things are different in rural areas, absolutely, for sure. But when it came to COVID, you literally had people in the rainforest, in the Amazonian rainforest, wearing masks, who lived in the middle of the rainforest. You can't escape the judgment of the living God. It's a worldwide event. So things are going to have varying impacts based on where you live, but you can't escape it. You can't escape it right here. He who flees because they're fearful of whatever. Now, obviously, I wouldn't recommend living in metropolitan areas for obvious reasons. They're falling apart a lot faster than elsewhere. You've got a lot of homeless people, a lot of violence and crime and that sort of thing in some areas, many areas. So it might be prudent in rioting, protest, it might be prudent to get out of Dodge. We got out of Dodge. We left 2014. Yeah. moved down to southern Indiana to woods in western southern Indiana that time. So people are going to be running from the fear, but they're going to... So if they run from the fear, they escape from the fear, they're going to fall into the pit. And the pit is a trap for the wicked enemies of God. I mean, COVID's a pit. The snake bite's a pit. And if they get out of the pit, they'll be taken in the snare. I mean, what's a snare? I don't know. I mean, for example, the people who didn't fall into the pit of the snake bite, which there are plenty of people who said no, they still aren't following the Lord. And so they're going to fall into a different snare, such as the fake alien invasion snare, or the next virus, so-called virus snare, or who knows what? Who knows? Who knows? Nobody knows. I don't know. But the windows on high are open, the foundation of the earth do shake. The word fall here can be literal or figurative. My word study dictionary says that frequently the trembling or shaking takes place as nature's response to God's rendering of divine judgment. I don't know if you have experience with animals. Animals in general, well, for one, they're much more peaceable than humans. They don't try to argue and strive and debate with you. Although I'm not talking to people who are listening to this, because you're all just lovely persons, lovely people. But they don't argue with you. They do get grumpy sometimes. Like our bunny mama Dolly, she gets grumpy sometimes, especially if she's not pregnant. She just wants to be pregnant all the time. She gets grumpy if she's not pregnant or doesn't have babies. But otherwise, she's generally pretty peaceable. She's a good girl. She's a good bunny, good mama. She just wants to be a mama all the time. That's all. She just wants to be a mama. But, her chickens, they're peaceable. One just found a worm. They're just wandering around doing their chicken thing. There's not stress and strife, debate. They're just doing what God intended for them to do. They, a lot of people will say, well, you got to be careful about what weeds you give rabbits, and, you can't allow chickens access to raw potatoes in your compost pile and all these sorts of things. Maybe that's the case for animals that are drugged. Our animals are not drugged, though. Well, besides, of course, what's in the air and the water and then the food that we can't control. Otherwise, they're not drugged. And they know, like if I go out and gather a bucket of stuff for the rabbits, they live pretty naturally. They live as naturally as I can let them live and still protect them. And they're fine. If something isn't good for them, then they don't eat it. I just pick it up out of their area, out of their shed the next morning, and everything. For example, there are some weeds that they can't eat that are toxic. They're bad for them, so they don't eat them. The chickens, raw potatoes are not good for them, so they don't eat them. There have been things that food-wise, that Dave and I both got sick from. So I threw it in the compost pile. I figured the chickens would eat it, and they don't want it either, because there's something wrong with it. Animals are smarter than we are in a lot of cases. But here, the trembling or shaking takes place as nature's response to God's judgment. I mean, animals they have a soul, but they don't have a spirit. So they don't have the communion with God that we have. But they have this something else, this sense, this connection to their soul that it seems that we don't have sometimes. And as a result, the rocks, the plants, and the dumb beasts know that we're living, no, but we don't. Like it says right here, the foundations of the earth do shake. And if you do look up the scriptures, you'll find that the earth itself, the land itself, the animals, the inhabit, everything that's part of the land knows this is a judgment of the living God. So they know and or will know Yet most humans don't know and will not know. So who's the smart ones? Who's the smart ones? It's a valid question. Are we really that smart? I mean, obviously we're made in God's image and everything, but I'm just talking about the people who are, blind and deaf, and will continue to be blind and deaf right up to the end. The earth is utterly broken down. Oh yeah, so, but as in the days of Noah, people are going to be saying back to normal, back to normal, back to normal right up to the very end. Earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean, dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, shall be removed like a cottage, like a shack. And the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. So he's going to punish the host of the high ones on high. That are, the two words that are inserted. They aren't in the Hebrew. He's going to punish the host of the high ones on high. I see this as the wicked powers and principalities. Also, and I also see it as Satan's minions. That could be an incorrect understanding of it. And I did look up the Hebrew words, and it didn't really tell me what I wanted to know. So I think this is that God will be punishing the powers and principalities who are, in my understanding, who Paul is referring to in the New Testament when he says there be gods many. But God's going to punish them. And he's going to punish, the Elon Musks and all of those other people of the world. Yeah, we've got, people just don't think. So the rockets that SpaceX has been using, they've been using the same ones for quite some time. And, of course, they come out now and then and say, oh, this is a brand new type of rocket, blah, blah, blah. And then they have these, all of a sudden, they've been launching them for years, okay? And they never have the spiral things. And all of a sudden, there are these spiral things in the sky. And they say, oh, well, that's just a SpaceX rocket burning off excess fuel. Say what? Okay, so all of a sudden, there's multiples of these in the course of a month. Never happened before. Never happened before. There's been 40 other launches, or however many. And all of a sudden, they're happening. All of a sudden, and it's multiples. What's going on? I don't believe that for a second. They look like portals. I don't know what they are. I don't pretend to know. But I don't believe the SpaceX narrative for a second. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days shall they be visited. So it shall come to pass in that day. So they shall be gathered together. Gathered together in 15-minute cities. Just saying. As prisoners are gathered in the pit. And shall be shut up in the prison. After many days shall they be visited or inspected. So captivity is coming for the whole world. But this here, of course, contextually is about the host of the high ones. God's got something extra for them in store. So everything that's in Isaiah chapter 24 is coming. So blessed am I not to have children at this time. Blessed am I. Blessed am I not to have children at this time. So if we go back to Luke chapter 23. Matthew, Mark, Luke, chapter 23, verse 26 through 31. So verse 30. Then they shall begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. And so this also corresponds quite obviously to the sixth seal in Revelation chapter 6, which I'm not going to go into because we've studied the sixth seal previously, and you can go read yourself. I encourage you to do so because it's very important, prophetically speaking. Verse 31, for if they do these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dry? this actually was a bit of a struggle for me to understand, quite honestly. So verse 31. So we've got women crying about what wicked men were doing to Christ. And Christ is our living water. He's innocent. He didn't sin. Look at what the government did to him. Look at what the government at that time did to him. And he was innocent. He was our green tree, our living tree. So what may happen in the dry? And the dry is a dead tree. Today we have a world of unrepentant, fragrantly sinful evildoers. No living water in them. How much worse will God's wrath fall upon them? How much worse will those dead trees suffer at the hands of their government? But another way to understand this is that we aren't innocent. So we could be considered the dry or the dead tree ourselves. We are sinful. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So if our Savior, who was perfect, a perfect green tree, if he was so abused, what's going to happen to us at the hands of our government? Yeah. A time is coming. Time is coming when people will wish that they did not have children because of the chaos, suffering, and destruction upon the earth. Parents today are grieving because their children are killed and maimed from the snake bite. But also famine leads to unspeakable acts, which we've studied some in the Pharmakia Revealed series. Famine leads to soylent. And worse. I guess that is the worst. Children since 2020. So before 2020, you had the lies of evolution, scientism, his story, which history is a lie. But since 2020, they're even further imprisoned, have been even further imprisoned, 5 days a week, however many hours a day. They had the torture of social distancing. Touch is very important. Touch is healing. We connect with each other via touch. Well, obviously language as well. They were suffocated. They're in schools. What happened when the schools were closed down in 2020? They put 5G in the schools. So wicked, so evil. In every classroom, in a lot of classrooms. The state has declared that children get to decide that they're a different gender. I can't imagine what this would do to a true Christian parent, to have their child declare that they're a different gender, or decide that they're a hawk or a robot, because transgenderism leads to transhumanism. That just paves the way to that. It has to be so hard to raise righteous children today. Blessed are the barren and the wombs that never bear. Blessed am I that I don't have that on my plate. Also, I'm not the healthiest person in the world because I was so harmed by pharmakia. You're not, no one's gonna recover from anything overnight like that. And with the increasing toxicity of the world. And the fact that we seem to be I seem to be a targeted individual. I've got a video up on that, and then an article on the website. If you need to hear it from a PhD, go hear it from a PhD on the website. Search for targeted individual. Knowing what I know today about the scriptures, about prophecy, I don't know if I could mentally handle it if I had kids. Because I would want them to, live long and healthy lives. I want them to get married and live in peace, live in a financially secure society. I'd want them to be all they can be, so to speak, not to quote the army or whatever. I would want them, that's what I would want for them. So would I be able to handle the truth of prophecy? I don't know if I had kids today. I don't know. I can honestly say that I don't know. Blessed are the barren and the wombs that never bear. I certainly would not be doing what I am doing today and sharing these Bible studies. They are super shadow banned, but the people who need them are led to them. The people who need and are open to them will find them. Yeah. Lastly, okay. I got one more verse. Psalm 17. Psalm 17. If I can ever get there. Psalm 17. Verse 13 through 15. I always encourage you to read in context yourself. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him. So we're talking, this is a prayer of David, who was basically innocent and being oppressed by the wicked. Verse 9 literally says, from the wicked that oppress me. So, verse 13, arise, O Lord, disappoint him. Arise, disappoint the wicked who is after me. Disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. From men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life. So don't worry about the rich people who, I mean, I'm not, if you are considered, rich, if you're a millionaire, I know some of you are millionaires. It's gonna be real hard for you to enter into the kingdom of God, but that doesn't mean that you can't. It just means it's going to be harder, scripturally speaking. But the, the fact is that for most people who are wealthy, and most people who are poor as well, most people in general, they have their portion. This life is their reward. So this is what David's saying. The men of this world, they have their portion in this life, but their belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They're full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. So they've got lots of kids, but David didn't have kids here. Okay, so how did David handle it? Well, next verse, as for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. So even without children, he was fully satisfied and complete with just by seeing God and enjoying his presence. So just because you don't have children, if you're like me, just being able to behold the person of God, his face in righteousness, that is enough to satisfy. That should be enough to satisfy your soul. That is enough to satisfy your soul. When I awake with thy likeness or form. Yes, children are amazing. Okay, I dedicated my career to protecting children for a while. And I know people hate the CPS and the DCS and all these sorts of things, and yes, they're wicked, and it is partially child trafficking. Yes, I can confirm that. But the fact is that there are people who hurt their children, and there are people who don't feed their children, and there are people who physically hurt their children via violence. And I love children. I love kids, but blessed am I. Blessed are you if you, like us, don't have children, because it's hard. I can only imagine how difficult it is these days, especially if you have a child that goes to public school. God help you. God help your child. No judgment. I understand. I mean, I don't understand because I've never been in your position. But I understand you have to provide for your family and may not be able to do homeschooling, depending on your situation. That is certainly not something that I can judge. But blessed are the barren and the wombs that never bear. I hope this has been informative. I hope this has been a balm to your soul if you are struggling with that. Adoption is always an option. Dave and I had planned to adopt. So Dave is actually adopted. I've had a heart for adoption since I was a teenager, and we'd planned to adopt. And obviously my health did not allow for that, in conjunction with finances as a result of our health. So if you're not in that boat and you have children or, have adult children, then hopefully this has been informative for you from a prophetic point of view. So hang in there. I know, just keep studying, because that will ground you besides physical grounding, and focus on him. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. That talks about.